All right. So if you haven't had the chance to meet me or haven't been along to one of these sessions before, I'm Naomi. I'm the project manager here at Quast, and I run the Healthier Tuckshops program. I am a dietitian by trade, but I've done a few other things in my career kind of leading up to this point. So I'm at Quast Monday through to Thursday. There's my contact details on the screen, but I will email everybody through an email after today so you can keep my details handy should you need them. So just a bit of an overview of how we run these sessions if you haven't been to one before. I generally just give a quick update on all things Quast, run you through any new resources that might have dropped, which isn't many because we only had our last network meeting a week ago. We then have some time for the topic of today, which, as you know, is the power of positioning. We generally do have time for some questions and answer. If we do run out of time, though, feel free to send me through an email, pop it on the Facebook conversations page, and I can get back to you or share that question so that everyone can benefit from the answer. I do just like to remind people that we do record these sessions, and so if you can have your microphone on mute, that would be great, because Zoom does pick up a lot of background noise. If you've got a question, absolutely come off mute to ask it. That is all good. And then if you do have a question, you can pop it in the chat as well. I do try and keep an eye on that, but sometimes I forget to look at the chat. So, and speaking of the chat, if you can just pop your school name in the chat there, that would be great. We don't do anything with that. What we do with that data is we just share the regions that we're reaching with this program to Health and Wellbeing Queensland. So we don't tell Health and Wellbeing who's come along or what schools are here, but we just let them know the reach of the program, which is important as part of our continued funding. So just a bit of a Quast update. So we've still got Recipe of the Year running, which closes soon. We have a main and a snack category. So if you've got some recipes that everyone in your tuck shop loves, making and the kids love buying, please absolutely send us in those recipes. So mains and snacks, you can submit it. All the details are on the website. If you're having trouble with the form or you just don't have time, feel free just to send us a photo of the recipe and send us a photo of the finished product, and we can sort out the rest of it for you. In terms of new resources, so yeah, not a lot has dropped in the last week. Chrissy did update the Book Week Tuckshop Ideas resource. A new recipe reel just hit social media today, which was, I think from memory, it's the choc chickpea brownie. So that was another one of the reel that we had a couple of students do for us a few weeks ago. And the topic that we did last week for Healthy Sports Day, we've got a resource in draft that should be approved and up on the website within like this week, hopefully. So hopefully that one will drop soon. All right, so the topic of the day, how can we positively influence student choice in the tuck shop or the canteen? So schools are more than just places of formal education. They create community, they drive social skill development, and they lay foundational skills that are essential to adulthood. Children spend large parts of their formative years at school, and they consume up to 40% of their daily food intake in that environment. So creating a healthy food environment within the school encourages positive lifestyle behaviours in children and adolescents, which then allows those habits to continue on into adulthood. School settings also provide a platform for health initiatives to reach diverse socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds. And a balanced diet is also linked to improved mental health, memory, concentration, and academic performance. A balanced diet can improve mental health, cognitive skills such as memory and concentration, as well as academic performance, which are all important to have in the school setting. So how can we positively influence? So firstly, we can use guidelines that are already in place to help us. So Smart Choices is a healthy food and drinks supply strategy for Queensland schools. It serves an important purpose. It was developed to encourage schools to provide food and drink options to children that are nutritious, as well as important for their well-being, opposed to unhealthy options that may have previously been available through tuckshops and canteens. Research reports that the availability of healthier menu items increased in school food services. So when the availability of items increased in canteens and tuck shops, so did the purchasing of those items. So students won't buy it if it's not there or if they can't see it. So we can positively impact choice by limiting those occasional or red choices and allowing our green items to dominate. Next up, we can consider labelling our menu. So while there's no requirement to label your menu or food items per the Smart Choice guidelines, there is some evidence around now that suggests that using a traffic light system does encourage the purchase of more nutritious items. So we have two QUT students with us at the moment who are helping out with the Recipe of the Year competition. And they're actually going to do a bit of a literature review around the traffic light system, benefits and challenges for schools. So once we've got that information from them, we'll make sure we share it with everybody too. I'm a bit of a believer in if nutritious items are presented well and they look appealing and they're priced accordingly, and they're promoted within that school community, students will gravitate towards them regardless of whether they have that green or amber label on them. The image on the screen there, it's just a snip from a menu that we rated for Rochdale South School recently. And so they don't have those apples on there. That's just what it looks like after we've rated it. If you're interested in knowing what your menu looks like, absolutely send it in and we can have a look at it and see how it compares to Smart Choices. So the third thing that we can do is about product placement. So supermarkets have been using product placement for decades to encourage us to buy items that they want us to buy, not necessarily things that we need to buy. So we can employ these same techniques in our tuck shop or canteen by positioning healthier foods more prominently, which encourages healthier purchasing. Students are likely to choose items that they can see when they walk in and items that are easily accessible. If you have a walk-through canteen, so if you're in a high school, place items that you make in-house, such as your pasta, curries or burritos, at the closest point in which your students walk into your service. Have your commercially bought items at the end of the line, so the students have to walk past all of your deliciously homemade options before they get to those lower rated options. So we can pack fridges so that the items we want kids to purchase are at eye height, and then with those other amber or occasional items stored down below in the fridge. Ensure that our packing and display looks inviting and as to complement those everyday items and what we want kids to buy. When packing the freezer with our frozen treats, ensure our healthier options dominate the freezer. If there's less healthy options available, then the children are more likely to pick up those ones that might have that better rating if that's what they can see that's taking up the majority of the space. The same principle about all this can actually be applied also to online ordering platforms. So if healthier items are listed at the top of the app, parents are more likely to select those items instead of scrolling down past them to get to the menu items that are listed at the bottom of the list. Students, staff and parents report that both price and portion size influence their food choice. So if the price point between two menu items are similar, the customer will prioritise purchasing the food that seems to have a bigger portion as they perceive that this is getting them better value for money. So with this in mind, consider pricing your more nutritious items, so say those with a green rating, at a lower price point than those commercially bought in items. Items made in-house are often more cost effective because you can make them in bulk and you can freeze them, and so they're more cost effective than their commercial equivalent. When you make them in-house, they often taste a bit better too. So it's important to have your menu, specials and your prices attractively displayed around the tuck shop or the canteen, and where they can also be viewed from the queue. So this encourages students to consider and plan their purchase prior to physically walking into the canteen or physically getting to the counter. And that works well for your queue times and making things more efficient as well. Promoting the more nutritious items and the ones that we want the kids to buy will also influence this decision. So they can see what's available on that day, if it looks really good and they know how much it's going to cost. By the time they get to the front of the queue, they'll have a better chance of picking that item. So the physical environment it can be an influential tool as well. So look around your tuck shop and ask yourself, does this look like somewhere I'd want to order food from? Is it an inviting space that encourages students to visit and then return? So you might not be able to offer the physical building, but you can make sure that your tuck shop is clean, bright, and that the food that's served is displayed in a manner that looks inviting. Use posters and pictures so that parents and students know what the food looks like, as well as it encourages them to order it if they can see what it looks like. Tuck shops and canteens are busy places, particularly high school canteens. So time spent in a queue can be a deterrent for students. I was at one high school recently, and for their half an hour service, kids were lining up for 25 minutes of that service. So that's a long time, if you only get half an hour break, to be spending most of it standing in the queue. So that standing in a line can be a deterrent, particularly in those big high schools. So we did recently publish a member resource about reducing your queue time, which included considerations such as pre-orders and moving to a cashless service. That picture on the screen there is from Ferny Grove State High School. I just popped it on there because I think it kind of encompasses a lot of those things we've been talking about. Everything's packaged really nicely, the prices are on display, and it's just an appealing looking fridge. So the sixth way that we can positively influence is about tapping into that influence of peers. So children often want what someone else has. So food from the tuck shop or canteen is no exception. So friends line up together in the queue and they may collectively make that decision about what they're going to purchase for the day. Offering a special price for two identical items can be a way that we can tap into that. So consider offering some of your healthier options on the menu, particularly around those that are made in-house, offering 2 for 1, and then this will have a flow-on effect to your financial as well. Hungry, sporty teenagers might also simply want 2 wraps or 2 burritos, so it's not just necessarily 2 being bought for 2 students, but 2 students might, but 1 student might buy 2 of that menu item. Surveying students to determine popular menu items and what they are likely to buy. So don't give them open slather about what they'd like to see in the tuck shop, but give them, say, 5 or so realistic options that the tuck shop or the canteen can make. And then you might have a thing where the most popular choice becomes that term special. If you do that, make sure you communicate that to the student body. So you can say, we asked what you wanted in the tuck shop. You guys said beef burritos, so that's the special for term 3. The lure of free food will never get old. So consider offering taste testers of your new menu items and also use the opportunity to survey the kids and the school community about the serve size and how they would like it presented. So for example, you might have an item that you could serve as both like a grab and go option or a sit down and eat with cutlery option. So you might say to your students, how would you like this meal item presented? They can give you that feedback, and then that can help determine what it looks like when it reaches the menu, which influences their decision to purchase it as well, because we asked them for their feedback and they gave it. So has anybody got any questions? All good. Alrighty. That if you do think of a question later, just feel free to send it through, and I can answer it later. That's no dramas at all. All right. So what's next? So this is actually our last network meeting for the term, which seems kind of crazy, but we will be pretty busy for the next few weeks with that recipe of the year. In term 4, we do have one already locked in for a face-to-face here in Brisbane. So if you're around and you're in a bigger school and you're wondering whether vending machines are for you, that one would be great for you to come along to. Still hoping to get to regional Queensland, so that's looking like I'll head to Rocky, so be able to do a face-to-face regional visit while I'm up there. And then we'll just probably have just one online meeting next term, and then it'll be the end of the year, which is crazy. I don't even want to think about it. So a recording of today's session will be online. I'll email out the PowerPoint and the links, so you've got my details. And if you think of any questions or if you've got any ideas for resources, please let me know, because we love to give you guys valuable tools that are going to be helpful in the great work that you do in tuck shops and canteens everywhere. Oh, good. Another early mark. That's two weeks in a row I finished early. All right. Okay. Well, have a good week, everybody. Reach out if you need anything, and we'll be in touch soon.